Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mensch. For those of you that have been watching and following my channel, know that I've done quite a few videos on installing Arch Linux. Sometimes I do it the manual way, and sometimes I use the installer, which I am no longer using, but that's another story. And I don't recommend you use the installer. But again, that's another story. That's not what this video is about. So I always do it in two stages. I do the base install with root user only, and no apps. And then in the second part, I do what I call post installation. And I make a user for myself. I install window managers in a desktop environment and all the apps that I like to use. And when I'm making my videos, in Vim, I always open up the file, the auto app file, and I show you all the apps that I like to download, and they're all in a paragraph. And I briefly explain what they are and say it's up to you whether you want to use them. So of course, for those who've been following my channel know that all my configuration files are free for you to download from my GitLab repository. And in every video, I tell you how to download them and update them. And I also have in the show notes, in every video, I have in the show notes the link of how to download them. And this auto app file, it's just something where you push a button and it downloads and installs all the apps that I like to use in the window managers and desktop environments. But I never go into detail in explaining what it is. And of course, for an advanced user or even an intermediate user, you don't need that explained. But if you're new to Linux, or if you're new to Arch Linux, maybe you need it explained. And that's what I'm going to do today. So I apologize for the long introduction, but let's get to it. So today I'm in a virtual machine of Arch Linux with the Cinnamon desktop. And of course, I got to show off the Cinnamon weather app. I love this weather app. It's the best weather app in the whole Linux world, and it's available only with the Cinnamon desktop, which you can download and use in Arch or Manjaro or Debian or Linux Mint, because Linux Mint is the one that made it. It's their Cinnamon desktop is theirs. It belongs to them. They created it and developed it, and so does this weather app. Isn't this amazing? But anyways, you know what? I'm off topic. So I brought back my face. I'm here. So, like I said, today I'm in a virtual machine of Arch Linux with the Cinnamon desktop. What I want to do is this. So I stopped using the Arch installer. It's not working for me anymore. I've tried many, many times. I've tried using the automated Arch installer from the August 1st ISO and from the September 1st ISO, and it's not working for me. For me, it's broken. Now, I had a viewer comment on one of my videos saying that it worked for him, but now I can't find his comment. So I looked several times. I looked for his comment. I can't find it. And I don't want to misquote him, but he said it was working for him. But hey, I've tried many, many times since August 1st and also since September 1st, and it's not working for me. The last automated installer that worked for me was the one on the July 1st ISO. But the manual install is working for me, and the manual install is working for me from the August ISO and from the brand new September 1st ISO. Anyways, and again, I'm off topic, but Arch Linux itself says right here, and I'm going to make this nice and large. And I'm going to read it to you. Let's bring it above my face. Warning. Now, just to show you, I'm at the Arch Linux website. I'm at the Arch Linux wiki, where they talk about Arch install. And again, I'm off topic. I apologize. Right here it says warning. The recommended way of installing Arch Linux is still to follow the installation guide. So the recommended way of installing Arch Linux is the manual way, not using the Arch installer. And I recommend that you do not use it and that you learn how to install Arch manually. Anyways, like I said, I'm off topic, so let's get back to the point of this video. So I'm going to open up a terminal. Let's make it full screen. And so normally when I'm doing my installation, like I said, I do it in 2 stages. I do the base install and then the post install. And when I'm doing the post install, I make a user for myself. Then I make a directory called .config. And then I go and download my GitLab repository, which is free for everyone to download. And let's CD into it. And I always do this in the TTY, of course. So but at that point, I don't have Xterm or the Cinnamon Desktop or the Awesome Window Manager or anything in there yet. So I download my GitLab repository and I download it like this: git clone https //gitlab.com artibus1/mensch.git. And I show you how to do it. And like I said, this command is in the show notes of all my videos, so you can copy it from there. And I download it. And I always do that in the TTY. And then once I've downloaded it, I CD into Mensch. I ls it. I CD into Arch because I have a folder for Arch, Debian, and FreeBSD, and a folder for Linux Mint Ubuntu. So now that's not a folder for Ubuntu. It's a folder for the Linux Mint that's based on Ubuntu, not the Linux Mint that's based on Debian. Anyways, I'm getting off topic again. So let's CD into Arch. So there's my AutoApp file. And of course, when I'm doing my post installation of Arch, I always take you into the AutoApp file. I always do vim auto. And I show you that I always say these are all the files. There, the Cinnamon Desktop is in there, the Awesome Window Manager, the Qtile Window Manager, music players, video players, and all the files. And this thing up here, this command up here, makes it so. Now, so when I'm in doing my post installation, remember, I'm not in Xterm. I'm not in the Cinnamon Desktop. I'm not in the Awesome Window Manager or Qtile Window Manager. I'm in the TTY. And all I have at that point is a base installation and just recently made my user, Mensch, with password and sudo privileges and so forth. So, and then I tell you, if you want my apps, and you can download your own apps, but if you want my apps, I tell you to do /auto, like that, /auto, hit enter, and it's going to download and install all those apps, files, and programs. So the point of this video is this: I never really explain what they are. And if you're brand new to Linux, or if you're new to Linux, but you've only been using Linux Mint, or Manjaro, or MX Linux, or one of those Linux programs that download everything for you already ready to go and work out of the box, you might not know what all these things are. Maybe you think I'm giving you a virus or something, or malware, which would be impossible to do because I am the Linux Mensch. Anyways, sorry about that. So I thought today I would explain what those are. So I showed you how to download my GitLab repository, but the thing is that I'm always making changes to it. So if you downloaded it a while ago, you might want to update it. And to update it, you would do CD into the Mensch directory that you already have, and you would type in git pull. Hit enter, and there it is. Now it's updated. So now another thing too, today I added a lot of apps to that file. So now let's CD into Arch, and we can LL. Let's LS. So number one, I have this apps here. This is the spreadsheet that I made with all the apps in it that I'm going to show you and talk about during this video. And that's the main theme of this video, even though I rambled on about other things and got off topic. But before I do that, let's go into this auto app now, because I want to show you something else before I explain what the apps are. So let's vim into auto. So this is a lot bigger than it was before today. I just made this bigger today. So this is my Mensch folder, And this is a folder I use when I'm making virtual machines that I use for videos. And I have a lot of apps that I use on my main production machine that were not in this paragraph. So when you've been downloading, if I don't know if anybody's ever downloaded my config files or used them, but if you have, the paragraph in this app file was a lot smaller because I didn't have some of the apps that I use on a daily basis for recording and editing my videos and so forth. So this morning, I added all the apps that I use on my main production machine into this file in my Mensch folder. And therefore, this paragraph is a lot thicker and bigger than it was before today. So if you did download my Mensch folder from my repository, you might want to update it by doing the git pull. So now I'm going to go and explain what all these apps are. So let's close this file. Let's close this. And this applies to, if you downloaded my config files, this applies to, doesn't matter whether you're using a Cinnamon desktop or the awesome window manager or Qtile. Or if you download GNOME desktop or KDE Plasma desktop, it doesn't matter. They all apply because this is Arch Linux. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up LibreOffice Calc. Really, that's a spreadsheet. And this is pretty much the same as Microsoft Excel. And it's LibreOffice Calc. So I'm going to open it up. So this is a spreadsheet that I made. These are all the apps that are in my app configuration file that you download all my apps automatically and instantly and install them. And this is including all the new apps that I added today. I'm going to go through this very quickly because as you can see, there's 74 here. So let's go back to the top. Themis is a musical player for the terminal. Plays music, will play all your MP3s, all your music in the terminal, even music that you paid for and downloaded from the Apple Store, it will play them. ALSA, it's sound, and I don't know if I should call it files, but it's just files for your sound system. Blueman is Bluetooth files. Bluez is Bluetooth files. BC is a calculator that works in the terminal. libcalculate is also a calculator that works in the terminal, but it's different than BC. Pulse Audio is sound files, audio files. Pavu Control is the volume control app, and that I'm going to open up. Let's just type in volume. Let's make it full screen. So this is your volume control center. Let's close it. And you'll need that, especially if you're in the awesome window manager or if you're in Qtile window manager. So right now we're in the Cinnamon desktop. So of course you have your volume control here. But when we go into the awesome window manager or the Qtile window manager, there is no volume control. And there isn't one in my configuration files. I know lots of people have configured them to have a volume control on the bottom bar, but I didn't. What I'm going to do is, let's get out of here. Let's close that. And you know what? I'm going to go to the awesome window manager. I just find it easier to get around. So let's change this to awesome. Let's type in my password. So what we would do is, for the volume control, right here, volume. I have it in my menu. Click it on, and that's the volume control. For input devices, configuration, output, recording, and playback. Now, for most things that I'm explaining today, I'm not going to show you how to use all the apps, but that's something that you might not know about. So let's go back to my spreadsheets. Let's just stay in the awesome window manager. So let's open up recent. So, like I said, where were we? Pavu control. So that's that volume control I showed you. ClamAV is a virus scanner. GNOME calculator is the GNOME calculator, which is this thing. That's GNOME calculator. GNOME system monitor is this. The super key and the P, type in system monitor right there. See it up here? System monitor. and that's the GNOME System Monitor. And one thing I really like about this is that you can go to Processes, and if you have an app that is frozen and you can't shut the app down, just find the app that's running, highlight it, and click on End Process, and it will shut the app. And of course, you can see how much RAM you're using, and these are your CPUs. I don't have any swap in here, and it's showing memory and so forth. Let's close that. Let's go back to my spreadsheet. So that's GNOME System Monitor, GNOME Disk Utility. Let's go into another workspace and open up GNOME Disk Utility. And looks like I don't have it here. I don't have it in the menu. So use the super key and the P and type in disks. And don't go to Disk Usage Analyzer. Go to disks. This one right here, disks. Hit enter. So this is disks. You can see I have a CD drive, but I don't have a CD in it. And I have 2 hard disks. So in this virtual machine that I'm running, I installed this virtual machine. When did I install it? Let's just go into a terminal and type in last. I installed it on September the 3rd. But after installing it, what I did was I attached another hard drive to it. I formatted it, encrypted it, and attached it to this machine. And I did a video about it. So in this video, 21 gig was the original hard drive, because when I make virtual machines, I don't give them a lot of gigabytes because I'm not going to be using them to download tons of stuff. I'm not going to be putting music and videos in them and all that stuff. So normally I only give my virtual machine a 20 gig hard drive. But for the purpose of making a video, I attached a brand new, or a second, I attached a brand new second hard drive, and I made it 107 gigabytes. And I encrypted it. So anyways, but that's besides the point. So this disk program, you can use this to, believe it or not, you can change your encryption password with this. Now, you can only change your encryption password if you know the password. So if you encrypted your hard drive and you forgot the password, you're out of luck. The only thing you can do is reformat your hard drive and do a brand new installation. But if you know the password and you want to change it, you can use this to change your encryption password. Now, you can also change your encryption password in the terminal, and I showed you how to do that in a previous video. And I even have written instructions on that in my GitLab repository. But that's besides the point. You can change the password here. You can lock the device. If you have a USB in here, USB thumb drive in here, you can use this program to format it. You can use this program to encrypt your USB thumb drive or to change your encryption password of the USB thumb drive. And you can even use this program to power off. You can power off your thumb drive by clicking on this. I don't have a thumb drive plugged in, but you would highlight the thumb drive. The thumb drive would show up here. You highlight it and click this on and click the power off button, and you can power it off. Oh, here it is here. It's grayed out right now because you can't do that. You don't want to do that with your hard drive, right? So there's GNOME disks. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. So that's what GNOME Disk Utility is. GNOME Screenshot is for making screenshots. Oops. Let's go here. So this EOG is just a picture app. It's an application that you use to view pictures. Baobab, I don't know how to pronounce that, but Baobab is Disk Analyzer. And let's go there. And now this one I do have, and I called it Disk Usage, but it's your Disk Analyzer. You can see I have 20 gig from my base, from my Arch installation. Then when I went after the fact and added another hard drive and encrypted it after the fact, I made another hard drive, 107 gig volume. Now, this is empty. It has nothing in it. Okay. Oh, Yes, I have a couple wallpapers in it because I transferred some wallpapers just to make sure it was working. So now in my main drive, which is a 20 gig hard drive, you can see I've used less than half. And you can click it on. And this is a fantastic program. And some of these GNOME programs come automatically installed in Linux Mint. So if you're using Linux Mint, a lot of the stuff is just automatically in there. But when you do a Arch manual installation, you have to know what programs and apps you want, and you have to put them in yourself. So you can see I'm only using, so my main hard drive in this installation was a 20 gig hard drive. I'm only using 7 gig for the whole installation and for all my apps. Now, I don't have any files in here except for a few wallpapers. I don't have any, videos or music or anything in here. So I'm using 7 gigabytes for the whole installation. And you can see in my home folder, I have 103 megabytes. So this is fantastic. This is a great program. It's called, in Arch Linux. If you're downloading an Arch Linux, it's Baobab. Now, another thing you can do is, let's say you're looking at my app files and you're wondering, what is that word? What kind of an app is that? Well, you could just open up a terminal. Sorry, you could just open up a web browser, go to Arch Linux, and type in that word. Was it Baobab? And here it is right here. Click it on, and it's going to tell you. It's a graphical directory tree analyzer. Okay? Let's just leave that open in case we got to look something else up. Because all these words for downloading these apps, they are the exact words you need to download them in Arch Linux. Now, some of these apps are available, many of these apps are available in pure Debian or Linux Mint, but sometimes they might have a different name. Now, these three files, and I really shouldn't call them files, they're things. They're things that just help you to watch videos. So these things are installed. If you install Linux Mint or Manjaro or MX Linux, these are automatically installed. Because if you don't have these in here, you won't be able to watch some movies and some videos. So that's what they are. They're not something you're going to go and use, but they're something that if you don't have installed on your system and you plug in some movies or download some movies, or even if you plug in a CD, you might not be able to play it. Rhythmbox is just a music player, and I'll just quickly open it up. Let's go to here. I don't have any music in here though. That's the thing. So that's Rhythmbox. It kind of looks like iTunes. It works really good, but I can't demonstrate it because I don't have any music in this virtual machine. So that's Rhythmbox. Celluloid is a video player. Numlox is a file that has to be configured after you download it. So when you download it, it won't work right off the bat. You got to configure it. But I have a configuration file in my GitLab repository. And what Numlox does is it makes sure that when you log into your window manager or your desktop environment, that the keypads on the side, your number keys on the side, are automatically turned on. ImWheel has to be configured as well. And ImWheel, it's a program, but it has to be configured in the terminal, and I have a configuration file in my GitLab repository. And what ImWheel does, it enables you to change the speed on your mouse speed. So your mouse wheel, it enables you to change the speed of your mouse wheel, so your mouse wheel works better. But you have to work on the configuration file. And if we go into Xterm, and let's go into CD into Mensch, Arch, let's LL it. And here's the RC file here. So you have to download the program, and of course it's in my auto app. So if you download all my auto apps, it's going to be there. But then you have to go into this file. Let's vim into it. iMwheel. And that's it. Now, if you want to slow down the mouse, you take these two 7s and make them a 5, a 4, or a 3. 3 would probably be way too slow. And this is just for the mouse wheel, for scrolling. And if you want to make it faster, you could kick it up to an 8, a 9, or a 10. So, oops, let's close that file. Now let's go into my run configs file. So here's my run configs file. And again, you don't have to run them. But if you do, if you download my whole GitLab repository and you download my auto app file and then you download my run config files, you're going to do /run configs, hit enter. But let's not do that. Let's vim into it. If you run my auto app file, it's going to download iMwheel into your computer. And then if you run my run config file, it's going to take this configuration file that I have of iMwheel and transfer it into the place where it needs to be, or it should be. So that's how that works. Let's go back to my spreadsheet. So that's iMwheel. Let's go up. ClipGrab is a program that enables you to download video and music from the internet. So if you're whatever website you're on in the internet, if you want to grab that video or that song, this will download it into your hard drive, and then you own it. And this will enable you to download it. You can even download a video as an MP3 music file or as a video. Now, recently a viewer asked me what I use to download videos from the internet for Linux Mint. Now, I didn't tell him about ClipGrab because ClipGrab is not available in Linux Mint. So there is, in Linux Mint, there's a program called, if you just go into the Linux Mint Software Center and in the search field, type in download video, there is a program there that you can use to download, and it works. I've used it, but I like ClipGrab better. But it's not available in Linux Mint, but it is available in Arch Linux. So that's what that is. Of course, you know what Firefox is. And in my auto apps, I don't have Brave Browser in my auto apps because Brave Browser is in the AUR. Now that's another point. In my auto app file, if you download those, there's nothing in there that's from the AUR. They're all from the main official Arch Linux repository. So that's why Brave Browser is not in my auto apps, because it's in the AUR. And I do have videos that show you how to download and install AUR packages, and specifically the Brave Browser. But anyways, this is Firefox. This is the ad blocker for Firefox. This is NeoFetch. You've seen NeoFetch in the terminal. I've used it many times. FmpEg. This is just a file that for running videos. It's not an app that you use, but it's an app that you need in the background. The same with GST-libav. It's for videos. And this xvidor. Those are just files you need to have in your system in order to play videos. LibreOffice Fresh is the whole LibreOffice suite. This is just Materia theme. LX Appearance is this thing here. If you hold down the mod key and hit the P and type in custom, this is LX Appearance. And I use this. Now, when I'm in the Cinnamon desktop, there's a different app that comes with the Cinnamon desktop for setting your theme. But in the Awesome Window Manager and in the Qtile Window Manager, I put this in there because I use this app to customize my theme for the Awesome Window Manager and Qtile. That's what this is. So I have Papyrus Dark for the icons, and I have Materia Dark for the theme. So let's close it. Now let's go back to here. So that's LX Appearance. App to change appearance. Papyrus icon theme is also downloaded. That's the Papyrus theme that makes those icons, that nice blue that I showed you. XFC Power Manager. Again, in the Cinnamon desktop, it has its own Power Manager that you can go into in the settings, but the Awesome Window Manager and Qtile Window Manager don't. So I download the XFC4 Power Manager, and that would be this. Oops, I got too many workspaces here. Hold down the mod key, hit the P, and then type in power. And that's this here. Let's make it big. And of course, I go to display and I got everything turned off because I don't like my screen going off and I don't like my computer going to sleep. Let's go back to workspace 1. XOR Server is not an app that you're going to use, but you need to have it in order to log into your window managers or your desktop environment. Xorg in it, the same thing. And of course, a lot of this stuff is just automatically downloaded in Linux Mint, Manjaro, MX Linux, or any of those easy to use Linux distributions. Of course, this is Zesh, my Zesh shell, and my Zesh syntax highlighting. Of course, the awesome window manager. XED is a simple text editor in the GUI. Let's go and take a look at it. Let's type in, hold down the mod key and hit P, type in text editor. And there it is. It's a simple text editor, a GUI text editor. Close without saving, and it's a lot lighter than using LibreOffice, you know. So let's go back here. So that's XED. PCManFM is my file manager. Xterm is the terminal I love to use. You know what HTOP is. Qtile is the window manager. LightDM is the login manager. LightDM Greeter is the login manager too. It goes with that. LightDM Greeter settings also go with the LightDM. UFW is Uncomplicated Firewall. And if you downloaded my configuration files and all my apps and ran my run configs, UWF will be installed. So if you install my auto app file, Uncomplicated Firewall will be installed, but it won't be set. It's only going to be set if you run or if you use my run config files. So if you use my run config files, it's going to set Uncomplicated Firewall to be hardened. Okay. This is NTFS3G. That's just files to help your file manager look better. And of course, the Cinnamon Desktop, Nemo File Manager, Xorg Xrandr. And that is a program that you can use in the terminal. So if I type in Xrandr, S, I can change the display. Well, if I type in Xrandr, and these are all the displays that are available, and I type in Xrandr-S, and I type in one of these like 1680 by 1050, it's going to change the display. And I spelled Xrandr wrong. There you go. So if I type in one of those things, it's going to change my display. Let's close that. Let's go back here. We're getting there. Sorry about this video being so long. Ranger is a file manager that works in a terminal, and I've done a video on that, so you can go watch my video. Terminus Fonts is a program that enables you to change the fonts in the TTY. Now I left it blank here because these programs below are programs I use, but before today, they weren't in my auto app program, in my Mensch directory, in my GitLab repository. So that's why I left a space. So these I just added today, this morning. So if you want these, you gotta update your, my GitLab repository in your hard drive. So Kdenlive is the video editor that I use for editing my videos. OBS Studio is the video recorder I use to make my videos. GIMP is the program I use to make my thumbnails. Now, Hunspell English, and there's an underscore there. It's kind of hard to see. There's an underscore there. If you want to download this from Arch Linux. Now, I've added this. So all these files have been added to my auto app configuration file. They were added today. And this is a dictionary for LibreOffice. So I've been using Linux for almost 4 years. At the end of December, it'll be 4 years I've been in Linux. And I didn't understand why my spell check was not working in LibreOffice. And I was running Linux Mint. And in LibreOffice and Linux Mint, my spell check was working, but it wasn't working in Arch Linux because I didn't have this file downloaded. So I downloaded this file and now the spell check works. So like again, when you install Linux Mint or MX Linux or Manjaro or one of the easy to use Linux distributions, everything is going to be there for you. But when you're building a system from a base Arch Linux system, you got to know to add all these files in. So I added this in. The same thing with man pages. These two files are to make your man pages work. And up until recently, my man pages weren't working. I couldn't figure out why. Like I'm watching all these Linux videos and all these Linux YouTubers are going, and if you want to know more about this app I'm showing you, type in man and you get in the terminal, you get instructions on how to use that app. And it was never working in my system until one day I realized I got to download these two files. When I downloaded these two files into my Linux, they worked. Now, FreeDP and Remmina, they're two programs that allow you. So for instance, in my day job, our system at work is on a cloud. It's on a Windows cloud. So when I go to work, I have Windows 10 in my hard drive. But to access all our files, my Excel files, my Word files, our accounting files, I have to log into a cloud system and an app comes up and I log into it with my username and my password and I'm in. And then I'm using the system in the cloud. And it's also a Windows system. So from home, in my Linux computer, I can log into that cloud. My Windows cloud from work. And I needed these two files to do that. So with these two files in my system, now I can log into my Windows system for work. Although I don't work from home, but if I ever had to, I can. That's what those two are. And I added those today. Not to my system, but to my Mensch configuration file directory. Cups. All these files here are to help you run your printers. So if you want to use a printer in Linux, you got to download all these files. Now all these will come downloaded in Linux Mint or MX Linux or Manjaro, but if you want them in Arch Linux, you got to download these. And last but not least, Physlock. So in my Cinnamon desktop, already has, like if I log into Cinnamon desktop, there's a button in the start menu where I can just go and lock the screen. But when you're using the Awesome Window Manager or Qtile, there is no screen lock. So I downloaded this so I can lock the screen. And that's it. Those are my files. So today I gave a detailed explanation of what all those apps are that are in my auto app download when I do my post installations. So in case you're wondering what they are, or in case you are hesitant to use it because you don't know what they are, that's what they are. And I also explained why I don't think you should be using the automated Arch installer and why you should learn how to do the manual installation of Arch Linux. So the only app that I use that's not in my Mensch configuration file is virt-manager. And the reason why is that virt-manager is not just one app that you download. You have to download about 7 to 12 different applications, and you have to go into your configuration files and do some setup. So I don't have that in my Mensch folder, and I didn't talk about it in this video. But if you do want to install virt-manager, I have 2 videos on it. So if you go to my YouTube channel and go to the search field of my YouTube channel and type in virt-manager, there's 2 videos there on how to download all the files and how to set it up and get it functioning. So I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I am the Linux Mensch. Bye-bye.